Good afternoon, everyone, Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining us for our first Ask Us Anything webinar about Fall Move-In 2026. My name is Dawn Bond, and I am the Director of Operational Services, and my team and I have the pleasure and honor of being able to coordinate your students' move-in. And so we're excited to be here with you today. I have a whole bunch of staff in the background ready to answer questions. And you are our first run at this, so if we come off a tiny bit goofy, we're just learning how to do this. We're going to do it all summer. This is our first one today, Wednesday, June 3rd. And the screen that you see behind me is the beginning of a presentation that I have typically done during new student orientation. We are not going to run through the whole presentation, but if there's points of reference that I can scroll to, we certainly will do that so that you will have a visual. I am going to scroll us down just a little bit to get to some important dates. And after I talk about some important dates, we will start to take questions. And so Monday, August 3rd, your student will learn where they are living for next year. That's the assignment release day, as we call it. And that starts at 12:01 a.m. on the housing portal. And students will be able to see their hall, room, and roommate information if they have more than one roommate, but both of those people's names. If they're in a triple or if they're in an apartment or suite style living, they'll see the names of their apartment mates or suite mates. About a week later is when your student will participate in what we call move-in reservation. Some students will make a move-in reservation and select from times available. Those are buildings that we use our Minute Mover teams, our student volunteers, to come and move you in. And then some students will see an assigned time, and those are the buildings that we use our professional moving company to move them in. Those are our Southwest Towers, Olive Honors College, and Sylvan residential area. And so every student, though, will participate in the move-in reservation process by going and viewing or making a move-in reservation. On Friday, August 28th, this is not for many people who are probably on this webinar today, but that's when we will transition our summer students. Monday, August 31st is our early arrival day. That's for our transition for our marching band. Our international students will move in. That's when our Minute Mover students move in. And then most importantly, and I'll end here for the moment, is that Wednesday, September 2nd is move-in day one, where we move in first-year students and transfer students. September 3rd, Thursday, is move-in day two, where we will finalize moving in all of our first-year students and transfer students and start to move in some of our multi-year students. And the last day of centralized move-in is Friday, September 4th. So I'll pause here, and I would love to take some questions. Do we have questions? And maybe I should ask, how are we taking questions?
So the chat feature or the question and answer feature is open. Folks can also raise their hand and unmute themselves and ask them directly as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. All right, so we're a little quiet out of the gate. That's okay. I know how to fill up the airtime. There are a couple of different types of move-in, and I've already started to talk about this. Some of your you and your student will be moved in by our Minute Movers, and those are the most common areas across campus. I've talked about the professional moving company that we use in Honors College, Sylvan, and Southwest. And then lastly, there may be a situation where you're choosing to be part of an unassisted move-in. That is our early arrivals, our unassisted move-ins, folks that come after hours, after we complete centralized move-in for the day and select into a time slot after 6 p.m., or anyone who's choosing to come in over Labor Day weekend. So those are some pictures of how it works. The first picture is a snapshot of some of our Minute Movers. Middle picture, professional and unassisted family moving themselves in. This year, we will have a little bit different looking boarding pass, and so I don't want you to get married to this, but there will be a process where you'll print something or bring the boarding pass on the phone after your student views or makes their move-in reservation. And so the boarding pass has a lot of important information on it. We have what we think is a helpful checklist for move-in that Sam the Minuteman helped us with. Super important on move-in day is to pre-review the routes that we've established for your students' arrival. We check students in on the east side and west sides of campus. On the east side of campus, it's in a large parking lot, lot 44 behind North Apartments. On the west side, we check in Honors College and all of Southwest residence halls behind the football stadium. And so it's important for you as the driver and the sort of preparing as a family to know the routes that we're asking you to take to get to those specific check-in locations. And then on top of that, after your student's been checked in, we've also established specific routes for every hall on how to get to the unload zone. And then we've also created a set of routes for how to move the car to the parking lot after it's been unloaded. So lots and lots of information on our website that we can drop in the chat for you to explore once your student knows where they'll be living, what your routes will be on your move-in day. The U-card or a photo ID is part of the check-in process. And then a very important aspect that I would be remiss to not mention in our first webinar of the summer is that we only unload one car at the residence hall. And so there are different reasons for you to bring a second car. That second car should not have any belongings in it that folks expect to be unloaded. The second car will be directed to a parking lot adjacent to your student's residential area. And they will, the second car should follow the first car in through the check-in process though, because we do placard it.
And Don, if I may, there's already been a question of somebody who is clearly aware of this and already trying to figure out, okay, what's the latest time I can get there to get my first car unloaded so that then I can do my own moving of some other things later. And so that last reservation is from 4:30 to 5. And then after we shut down the centralized move-in, folks would have access to go to the halls.
After 6 p.m.
After 6 p.m. Yep.
I don't know what you're bringing, but I will say, and we'll usually say this in almost every session that I do, is that unless there's you're bringing a very small car that you're bringing as the first car to be unloaded, 2 cars of stuff is a lot of stuff. Most students will have a roommate and will need to share space. So I think it's also important to have your student talk with their new roommate or roommates about what they're bringing so that you don't duplicate things. We also have a preferred vendor called Microfridge where you can rent a microwave, refrigerator, freezer unit that will be in the room upon arrival. Those are always nice because you don't have to move them in and out. We also hold a big tag sale. Our new to you tag sale is made up of items that students left behind, mostly because they couldn't fit in the car on the way home this May at move out. And then for out-of-state and international students, we have the luggage program where out-of-state and international students can ship ahead boxes, not through third party, but directly to us. We'll hold them at our distribution center. And then we make every effort to also have those boxes waiting in the room for students' arrival. What other questions do we have from the audience?
One of them you just answered, and it was about, sending stuff in advance for international students.
Great.
And just to clarify a little bit more with that, it needs to come from, it can't come from a third-party vendor. You can't order it and have it sent. It has to come from student address. And so there is more information on our website that will give you all the details of when you can send that and how it needs to be sent. And we do have somebody who has raised their hand.
Great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zahir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So are you guys going to send the list of the items student can bring in ahead of time?
Yeah. So we're not going to send it to you, but that list lives on our website. And it does have some good suggestions about things that, I mean, I've seen the list a bunch of times, but when I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I wouldn't have remembered that. Like a flashlight with batteries in case there's ever a power outage on campus. That happens very, very, very rarely. But if it were to happen, your student having a flashlight with fresh batteries is helpful. A little first aid kit is helpful. A small package of those generic medicines that sometimes you don't think about until you get sick, where some aspirin or Advil, some cold medicine, decongestant, those types of Pepto-Bismol, antacids, those are things that are listed on the list. And so we can drop the link to where the what to bring suggestions are on our website. I have a few things that I'd like to emphasize, and I have the page up on our story map. One of them is a fan. There are only 2 residential halls, residential areas that have air conditioning, and those are North Apartments, which are typically not new students. Those are apartment living. Usually our junior and senior students live there. Honors College, there are 2 first-year halls in Honors College, Oak and Sycamore, are air conditioned. The remainder of our residence halls, which is a lot of them, do not have air conditioning, and it can be very warm at the end of August, beginning of September, throughout September, and sometimes even into early October. And so I'm going to recommend that you bring a fan or 2, perhaps one to set in the window, particularly at night, to bring cool air in, and then a smaller fan to oscillate air inside the room. If you wait to come to the area to buy a fan, there certainly is a Target down the way, a Walmart down the way, not too far from campus. Those items are typically considered out of season by the end of August. In fact, they've been taken over by Halloween decorations. And so there aren't a lot of new fans to purchase in the area. The second thing that I want to emphasize is to bring a refillable, reusable water bottle or 2. There are hydration stations across our campus to help reduce the number of single-user water bottles. Buying cases and cases of single-user water bottle, in my opinion, is not helpful to the environment. And again, we do have hydration stations in academic buildings, administrative buildings, and every residence hall has at least one, sometimes more than one. Other questions?
Yeah, I mean, the mattress situation, is this any mattresses? What kind of mattresses you guys need, or is it additional mattresses need to buy or bring it with the student?
Great question. So it's not a twin, it's an extra long twin bed. And so when you're purchasing linens, you want to look for extra long twin. And the mattress toppers, which I have up here on the screen now, is something that is very common that families will bring because they want a little extra comfort or cushion on the top of the mattresses. We purchase what I consider very nice mattresses, but it may be different from the one that your student has from home. And so I'm not against mattress toppers. What I am concerned about is that at the end of the academic year, every residence has a pile that looks like the one that I'm showing here outside. And so if you do purchase a mattress topper for your student, what we want you to do is strongly consider also buying some vacuum bags. Vacuum bags, this is an example of a vacuum bag that has 2 towels, 2 blankets, a comforter, 2 sheet sets, 2 pillows, and a bed skirt in it. And look how much space. That's such a small amount of space in the car going home. And so mattress toppers should be used from year to year, and unless something happens to damage it. And if we could work together to reduce the waste of these mattress toppers going into literally the trash stream, because there is no outlet that we've been able to find that will take custody of these and use them for something different, reuse them or recycle them for something different. And so mattress pads can also be put into vacuum bags and shrunk down and stored in the car in a much smaller size. Other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to reemphasize, we do a 1-car rule at move-in, and you can put as much as you want in that car, and that car can be as big as you would like for it to be, including a Thule on top. However, if a second car comes, remember that second car is going to be directed to a parking lot near where your student is living. And if you have a family coming, which is a perfectly normal thing to do, and you might need 2 cars to get everyone here, moving your student in for the first time is a really big deal and is a really exciting moment. And so if folks are coming to be part of that, I encourage that. Put all the people in the second car and all of the belongings with the student in the first car with a driver. As soon as that car is unloaded, the driver will move it to the designated parking lot. And so the driver is the critical person here in understanding the routes that we've established on campus. There is some ground signage, of course, on the ground during each of the move-in days, but I find that there's never enough ground signage, and even if we put all that signage down, it would be confusing and be considered sign clutter. And so looking at the directions ahead of time that are on the website and understanding the routes for your student's residence hall will be really, really helpful. If you come with a second car, you may be this family. This family didn't come to my webinar a few years ago, and they put stuff in both cars. And this is my favorite dad posture. He's like, why didn't someone tell me? So they're pulled off after being checked in behind the football stadium, and they're now trying to figure out how to put more stuff into what I believe would probably be that SUV with a Thule on top, and move some people into the second car. So on both sides of campus, if we discover that there was a misstep here, there is a place to pull off so that we can get as much stuff into the primary car so that the second car will then go to the designated parking lot. And then if you do have some things in the second car, be this family. Put the light stuff in the second car, stuff that's easily carried, maybe things that are on wheels, suitcases with clothing in them or things like that, and because those things will be carried in. I'll pause for some questions.
I will add that a lot of families also bring their own wheeled wagons to carry things in from the parking lot. So I've seen that as well.
Let's talk about elevators for a moment. So there are a number of residence halls that do have elevators, and you will be able to find that information about your student's residence hall once you know where they're assigned. There's maps for each residence hall, and whether there's an elevator or not included there on building information. Even if there's an elevator in your student's residence hall, your student and you may not be using that elevator on move-in day. In order to move students in an 8-hour period, or for bigger buildings in a 16-hour period, we do have specific routes for lower floors that will use the stairwells. There are also plenty of residence halls, older residence halls on our campus that don't have an elevator, and so every family will be moving in using the stairs. And we've got move-in patterns for every residence hall about where you would push to the closest stairwell door and then carry items up. We do containerize every car as it's being unloaded into the laundry bins that you've seen some pictures of here today. But that it just, again, not every family will use the elevator. And after you've moved in, you will also not likely have access to the elevator to come and go. Once we're using that elevator to move students in, it's essentially offline until the end of that move-in day. Now, if there's a medical reason or a particular physical reason for why you may need to use the elevator to be brought up and down to your student's room, we certainly will accommodate that. But moving in, the Minute Mover teams will help you with lifting and carrying and getting things in to the buildings that don't have elevators, or on the routes that have elevators and we don't use it for that floor. We obviously have routes for the lower floors when we don't use the elevator. On the east side, this isn't the east side check-in, it's transportation. If your student is arriving by Uber or Peter Pan bus or flying in from the airport, what we want to suggest is that you have them dropped off at the Brommery Center for the Arts. On all 3 days, we operate a shuttle from the Brommery bus stop through the check-in process and right to the hall and help them get unloaded. We essentially take your student the last mile, and we don't want them to have to pay for an Uber to sit in the check-in line or try to carry their suitcases from the Peter Pan bus stop to the check-in location at the football stadium or across campus at Lot 44. And so they should look for the check-in shuttle that we operate all day. Pat Quinn has a question.
So Don, a couple people have asked in the chat. I just thought it'd be good to talk about bed height and where the beds start and what people can do with that.
Awesome. Great questions. So we start all the beds at move-in at what is called captain's height. Captain's height is high enough. It's about hip high for someone of my height. I'm 5'9", so it might be a little higher if you're shorter than me. Captain's height allows for us to push the 3-drawer dresser under the bed. So it does provide for some good storage space at that height. If you are a little shorter than me, or short in general, and that seems high, you certainly can adjust the height of the bed upon arrival. That'll just reduce the amount of storage space you have under it, but it might be easier for your student to get in and out of bed. Students can also bunk or loft their beds in communication with their roommates about how to set up the room, and lofting kits and the materials that you need to do lofting or bunking are available. Specific directions for each residence hall is on our website. Great questions. On the east side of campus, we have, I'm going to scroll fast here, so sorry, I don't want you to feel nauseous. Some of the parking locations on the east side of campus are a little bit further away than we would want. And so students that are assigned to Sylvan residential area, Northeast residential area, or North apartments, we use 2 parking lots that are, in my opinion, a little further to walk than most families are asked to do so. And so we operate a parking lot shuttle for East check-in for those residential areas. Orchard Hill and Central are not included in this. Orchard Hill and Central, which does check in on the east side of campus, the parking lots are close enough for walking. But North, Northeast, and Sylvan, we shuttle from lot 68/31 all the way up to Sylvan residential area all day long. And so this is an option, especially for the driver of the car, after they've moved it, to hop onto the shuttle. Or if you're taking things back to the car, like empty boxes or bins or luggage, you can hop on the shuttle to get back to the car after it's been parked, and make it a little easier for you. This is a map of East Check-in. I've talked about this big parking lot behind North residential area. This is lot 44. This is the College of Education here, which is on North Pleasant. You would enter in between the College of Education and another parking lot onto what is called North Residential Drive, and then make your way up through the curly Q. And then the first stop on the east side is to get checked in. This is where your student will receive their room key, and the car will receive its placard that will allow you entrance to the unload zone. If you have a second car, your second car will also be placarded. Our friends from dining are awesome. They're out there with us every day, all day, and we provide a little bag with snacks in it. So that's second stop. And then the last stop for move-in on the east side is what we call car call-up. This is where we hold cars until there's a spot for unload at the residence hall. This keeps us from log jamming up our unload zones. And so we are in direct communication. This person right here is in direct communication with someone at the unload zone for every hall, and we will send cars as we have the ability to do so. Depending on the day, those cars will then leave the check-in location. Sometimes it's behind Brown Residence Hall in Sylvan. Sometimes it's out through the north exit. So depending on your routes, which you're going to take a look at so that you're prepared when you come to campus, you'll leave East check-in and follow the directions that we've provided online. West check-in is a little more intuitive because I think people actually know where the football stadium is by sight, because it's big and you may have seen it on a past visit. Students, families will come in off of 116, come into what is called Stadium Drive. On the west side, we do dining first, and that's grab a snack bag for the family, come around, student gets their key and gets placard, second cars get placard. And then we do the car call up as the last part here. Again, west side halls are Olive Honors College and Olive Southwest residential area. Do we have any new questions?
So there is one about, or there've been a couple about, like, so when should we show up? A little bit before our time? What if we come late? And do we need to hold off? So maybe a little bit about arriving to campus.
Oh, great. Thank you. So the move-in reservations are in half-hour time slots during our centralized move-in process. During the Unassisted move-in times after hours over the Labor Day weekend, I think they're a little bit longer. But let's talk about centralized move-in, because I think that's how most of you will move your students in. So every half hour, we expect new families to arrive, and you should try to target the beginning of your half hour as your arrival at the check-in location. And so arriving to either east or west check-in at the beginning of your half hour. Now, it's not perfect, and there's lots of flow in the day. If you're 5, 10, 15 minutes early, just keep coming. We're going to get you checked in, and we're going to figure it out. If you are a few minutes late and you're outside of your window, same theory works. Just come. Just let's get us checked in. What we can't accommodate, though, is someone who comes on the wrong day, comes on a completely different day. And so if your building is scheduled to move in on day 1, September 2nd, and for some reason you show up on September 3rd, we will not be ready for you. We will not be able to check you in. We won't have your key. There won't be minute movers in the unload zone or professional movers waiting for you. And so it's okay to come a little early, a little late, try to target that half hour window, and we'll get you checked in. Now, if something significant happens and it's delaying you hours, we still want you to come. At 5 o'clock, though, we will close the check-in locations. And so if you come after 5 because of something that's out of your control, maybe you had a breakdown or there's been a massive traffic situation in your area coming in, then you can still check in. Starting at 6 p.m., you would go to then a different location, your residential service desk, to get checked in. Your student would be issued the key, and that would then become an unassisted move-in. So, other questions?
There were some about the difference between what the minute movers do and the professional movers.
Okay, great questions. Sorry for Blair Witch here. Just a moment. Going. Okay, here we go. I think this is a great example, great visual of what's going to happen. So minute movers are going to help the family unload the car, push the belongings to the room by way of elevator or stairwell, and help carry things in and unload the bins. They are not the sole mover. They are assisting the family, unloading the car, moving things to the room, getting the bins unloaded, and then returning to the unload zone. And so I think the first picture here is a great example of that. You can see that there are 2 minute movers with this, I'm going to assume, dad helping unload the first car. That bin's pretty full. They're probably about to move it. The second car has a minute mover also helping unload the back of that vehicle. And then again, everybody in the family participates with the exception of the driver. The driver will move the car as soon as it's unloaded, and that's how minute mover buildings get moved in. Minute mover buildings are also the buildings where your student will select from open half-hour time slots based on what's available on the day that students begin to make their move-in reservation, which this year is Monday, August 10th. Please note, on Monday, August 10th, not everybody will log in at 9 a.m. and make a minute mover reservation or view their reservation time. The first literally 3 years we use move-in reservation, we crash Spire. And so we finally learned our lesson, and we stagger the start times for individual buildings throughout the day. The schedule for when your students building will go in and make their move-in reservation or view their move-in reservation can be found online. You're not competing against other buildings. You're just competing, if you will, against other people in the building. Move-in reservation is first come, first serve. So if there's a particular time that you desire to move your student in, they should be viewing that schedule and then logging in at the beginning of their move-in reservation start time. The professional movers are pictured in the middle picture. They are laborers from the local area that we bring to campus, working with our vendor partner, University and Student Services. Those folks unload the car entirely without the family getting out of the car. In fact, we don't want the family to get out of the car because it just sort of gets in our way. They take chain of custody of the students' belongings. We tag every bin, a cardboard bin. They're different from the bins we move in at other places. They will put the room number and hall information on the bin, and then the bins will be moved into the student's room while the family is parking the car. In almost 99% of the time, by the time the family parks the car and returns to the room, the belongings are waiting for the student as they enter their room to start to unpack and get settled. So USS buildings include the following: Southwest Towers, so for first year students, Kennedy, transfers, John Adams. Honors College, all of Honors College, every residence hall in Honors College, it's landlocked, and Sylvan residential area. So McNamara is our transfer community up in Sylvan. And so professional movers will take the elevators offline in those buildings and use them for only move in. If you have a medical reason to use the elevator, particularly in a tower, of course, we will have you wait in the queue and we will get you up to the room. Otherwise, you are walking a lot of stairs on move-in day. We don't want anyone to have a physical problem on that day. So if you feel uncertain about the ability to walk up a huge number of flights of stairs, please ask for help and we will get you into the elevator eventually as we load the bins in. The last picture is a picture of unassisted move-in, and that's where there's no assistance, there's nobody on ground helping unload the cars or move the belongings into the building. This is a family, a great picture of a family that signed out a bin, loaded it up, and they're all moving it towards the student's room to get it moved in. Hope that
there's
helps.
There's a question about is there a shuttle from the hotel or to the check-in area?
We do that now. And so that is the shuttle that I talked about for Brommery. Let's see if I can find that. I may have passed that. There it is. There you are. So we are also, if a family ends up staying at the Campus Center Hotel and does not have their own vehicle to go through the check-in process with the students' belongings in it, then we offer a pickup at Flint Circle for students or families with their student who are staying at the hotel and have their belongings with them there at the hotel. And there will be a sign, an A-phrase sign for the phone number to call if you need a pickup from the UMass Hotel.
That is all for unanswered questions at this time.
Awesome. Let's see if there's anything that I would have wanted to say that I didn't say that might not even be an unknown question. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. We talked about the shuttle. We talked about assisted and unassisted. West check-in, East check-in after your arrival. So we talked about the bunking the beds, and this is some roommates who chose to bunk their beds, I'm guessing to make a little bit more room in the room. They hopefully discussed that ahead of time. If you're finding anything wrong with the room that we, for some reason, did not take care of over the summer, then please submit a service request and we will prioritize getting that addressed within just a few days, if not that day that your student moved in. And so the maintenance service request can be found online. If it is something of an emergency nature, we certainly want that to be called in. And so there's a phone number on our campus. I don't know if we included it. Yep, we sure did. The emergency maintenance phone number is 413-545-6401. And this is all year round. Your student should have this in their phone. And if there's anything that we would consider urgent or emergency maintenance, running water, a toilet that won't flush or is overflushing or overflowing, a sink that's clogged, a shower that's clogged, a key that doesn't work in the door, the card access monitor on the exterior of the door is not operating properly, fire safety equipment is malfunctioning, the smoke detector in your student room is chirping because the battery needs to be changed. Those are all things that we consider emergency maintenance. Other things that we do still care about but are considered routine maintenance might be that the blind is not working properly 100% and we need to get in and adjust it. If the blind itself is not working at all, we want your student to have privacy, and so that should be called in as an emergency maintenance. We'll get out. We don't want your student not to be able to close their blind. Sarah, raised hand.
So what if I have twins and they're not going to be living together? How should I do my move-in?
Yes,
my move-in reservation.
We want to help you. So we want to make that easy for you. On move-in reservation first day, August 10th, decide which twin you're moving in first. attempt to get the move-in time for that person using the standard move-in reservation process, unless of course they're going to be in a hall where we've assigned a time, and then go to the next thing I'm going to say in just a moment. Once you've established your first move-in time, please send an email to the residential services email, and we will arrange for a reasonable amount of time later for you to move your second student in. And we will also move the key to one of the 2 check-in locations. We don't want you to have to choose between your 2 twins. We've even had triplets move in. And so try to make a move-in reservation that works best for you for one of them, and then we will work on getting you a move-in reservation for the second. We will get the keys to the same location. You do not have to go through the queue twice. You will only need to go through the queue once if they are on opposite sides of campus. Sarah or Pat, Cass, would you add anything to that answer?
That you get 1 car per student, that you don't have to fit 2 students worth of items in 1 car.
Yeah, yep. 1 car rule, each student gets a car.
There's a new question. There's been several about this, about needing to bring your own tools to adjust the bed heights.
Yes, it's a rubber mallet. You should purchase one. It's easier. We have them to check out, but we do not ever have enough for people, and I don't want you to have to wait. And so make the investment. It's a rubber mallet, and that will help you. The pins and the bed pieces that you need will be in the location where the lofting kits are for your building, or in some cases we deliver the lofting kit materials. Again, that's all on the website, but I would purchase the rubber mallet. One thing that we didn't talk, it's not necessarily move-in related, but I do think is helpful to know, is that there are 8 residential service desks that support your student as they're moving in and throughout the year as they live in the residence halls. The residential service desks are the places that your student goes to if they lock themselves out and need a backup key. It's where they go if they've misplaced their U card and need a temp card to get into the front door, or possibly their suite or apartment door. If the U-Card office isn't open. It's also the place that they would go if they are not having an easy time opening their mailbox. Every residence hall has letter mail mailboxes that we still do put letter mail into. This is a midterm election year, and so if your student is doing a mail-in ballot, we are going to process those as packages. Your student will get an email about that once we open, but all other letter mail will go into their mailbox that has a mailbox combination on it. And then lastly, probably the most often reason why they will go to their residential service desk is because they're going there to pick up a package that has been sent to them or they've ordered online for themselves. This year, we will have Amazon lockers on our campus. There are 6 different locker locations, and so that will be up and running for when your student gets here. There'll be some more information about Amazon lockers in the future, and students will have the opportunity to select the locker location that they'd like to pick their package up as they're purchasing on Amazon. Pat Quinn.
Couple of things to add. One, I've seen several people ask about mailing stuff ahead of time. It's important to know that the first day that the residential service desk will accept any mail and packages will be Monday, August 31st. So just know that there's not a lot of time in front of when we open, when we start taking stuff, and we will receive an extremely heavy load. It looks like you're going to talk about that in a moment. The other thing is on assignment release day, you will be able to go to our website and look up mailing addresses on the residential services page on how and what address to put in to mail anything to your student.
We would like to ask you not to rely on sending things that you've got the opportunity to bring the things and we'll help you move them in. The first week of the semester is very heavy package load. Inevitably, something is forgotten. We understand, but it does also create some delays for how quickly we can process packages. This is a real example of a mailroom, a service desk mailroom, where we're just inundated with packages. So if there's something you can hold off on sending for about a week or so, that would be great. If it's an Amazon package, package, then you'll be using the lockers anyhow. Super important. I didn't mention this earlier. If your student does need a medication that they take on a daily or regular basis, please make sure they have a 30-day supply. It hasn't happened in a number of years because we talk about it a lot in these webinars, but shipping a medication the first week of the semester, it's going to get caught up in this package queue, and we don't want that to be the case for your student. We also do have a pharmacy on campus, or there's a local CVS, I think, within walking distance of the campus in downtown Amherst, so you may want to also consider moving regularly refilled medications to a closer location. And then lastly, these are our resources as we're wrapping up for today with just 3 minutes left to go. Please email us your questions. We have amazing staff behind the scenes able to answer your questions. We are open 9 a.m. to 4:30 Monday through Friday. Everything that I've talked about, I don't even want to say lots, everything that I've talked about today is on our website. But if you're having trouble navigating and you can't find the answer right away and you've spent some time, just drop us an email and we'll get back to you with that answer. Are there any final questions? Well, my team and I want to thank you for coming today to our first ever Ask Us Anything webinar. We really appreciated you taking the time to learn about Fall Move-In, and we look forward to welcoming you to campus in early September. You have a great day.
Thank you.